A mochi moment from Tara, who writes, "For years, all my doctor said was eat less and move more, which never worked. But you know what does? The simple eating tips from my nutritionist at Mochi. And after losing over 30 pounds, I can say you're not just another GLP-1 source. You're a life source." Thanks, Tara. I'm Myra Ahmed, founder of Mochi Health. To find your Mochi moment, visit joinmochi.com.
Tara is a Mochi member compensated for her story.
I don't know what's going on with that broom, and I'm thinking about it a lot.
Yeah, I'm
obsessed
very
with that
curious. I want to know what that
I'm
broom
obsessed
is
with my porch broom.
for.
What
What is it from?
Where did it come from? Is it a stocking? Is this a stocking?
Yeah, that's the thing too. It looks like a Halloween decoration, but it's not Halloween anymore.
Right, it arrived after Halloween.
Yeah.
I've been thinking about sending out an APB to the house and just being like, hey, what's going on with this broom?
Yeah, it also is weird that it's outside.
Right.
I feel kind of bad that it's outside.
I know.
You should take that broom
Did someone
in.
drop it off? What if it's cursed?
Give it a home. Yeah. Well.
I haven't brought it inside because I'm a little nervous that it's cursed.
Yeah. Also, because it just might not be yours.
Right. Yeah. Well, that's
You might
the
just
thing.
be
There's
stealing.
just so many reasons not to. All right. Shall we do this thing?
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
'Cause it's Witchcast.
Welcome to Witchcast.
Welcome to Witchcast.
I'm Kate. That's our song.
Hi, I'm Emily.
And we're the hosts of the Witchcast podcast.
This is the Witchcast podcast.
Yeah.
We are casual, eclectic, novice witches, and we're getting out in the world and asking people about what they do, what their practices are.
Right.
Talking to experts, talking to friends.
Trying to learn, trying to grow, and inviting you to do along with us.
Yeah. We have a guest with us today.
Yes, today's a really exciting episode, and honestly, I personally have been very excited to do this all season long. We have a really interesting subject to talk about today and a really special guest. I'm really excited to welcome Tamara.
Her Orisha name is Iyawo Oshundara.
And we are here today to talk about Ifa.
Yeah.
Yay.
Ifa,
Yay.
and I guess Isese, although I could not find anything about it on the internet, so really I'm here to ask you about Isese.
Yes, you're here to tell us all
but
that
mostly
you know.
we'll be talking about Ifa.
Yeah.
And very excited to do so, and to talk to you, Tamara, about your practice, which I know. Looking at your website, you do spiritual baths. You also do tarot readings.
Yes.
You do a whole bunch of different things.
Yeah, I'm kind of, I want to say a jack of all trades, but I'm kind of all over the place right now in terms of stuff that I'm offering to folks. But the biggest thing for the past year has been my spiritual baths, but I also, like you guys said, I do tarot/oracle readings as well.
That's
awesome.
awesome. Yeah, go ahead.
It's weird when we talk in
I know,
unison by
we do
accident.
it quite a lot, actually. It's because we're just so
getting-
close.
It's getting more and more, and
It
it
is.
is eerie.
Yeah.
I feel like we were about to ask the same thing, which is just how did you get into
That's
our
exactly
sort of
what I was going to ask.
get into these sort of spiritual practices and witchcraft and all of that?
Yeah.
Okay, so I don't want to say it's a long convoluted story, but kind of I think
We love those.
many people, I grew up Christian. As I like to say, my parents are still best friends with Christ. They're still good church going people. I grew up going to church, and then in my mid to late 20s, I was just getting more disenchanted with Christianity, with church, just finding a lot of hypocrisy with the institution of church. And I always tell people it's not that I don't not believe in Jesus. It's just Christianity just wasn't doing it for me. So I moved from New York in 2013 to Baltimore, where I currently am right now. And that kind of space away from my family gave me a little more time and a little more freedom to explore my spirituality, because one of the things that I was kind of exploring, my mom made me read The Law of Attraction, The Secret book.
Yeah. I know that book.
Everyone starts with The Secret, and so playing with the Law of Attraction,
Yes.
playing with manifestation, and starting to, what was the site that I used to read? Oh, it was called The Daily Love. And so I was like reading The Daily Love and kind of getting all this like inspirational things. And the one thing, when I moved to Baltimore, I didn't have a job. I didn't have anything lined up. I finished grad school and I quit my job and I just like left. Like I had my savings and I was just like, peace out, bitches. And
Nice.
was very much like living on a prayer and doing a lot of manifestation work. And I got a job within a month and a half of moving down here. And so that was cool. And a friend of mine at the time, she was also kind of like in baby witch mode. And so we were just kind of bouncing things off of each other. And I started reading and teaching myself tarot in 2015, and kind of playing around with that. And I had gotten fired from my job in 2014. Got another job in 2 months, like again, just doing really quick manifestation work. And I was like, okay, like there's some legitimacy behind this. But I was getting readings from people, and it was a lot of like, well, you need to find a spiritual home. Like you need to find a spiritual community. And me thinking, not outside the box. I was like, oh, I need to go back to church. Yuck, not doing that. Like, like if that means going,
no thanks.
I was like, if that means going back to church, count me out. But there is like a kind of witchy shop here in Baltimore called Crystals, Candles, and Cauldrons. And the owner of the shop was having...
Love it.
Love that.
Yeah, it's a really nice shop. And she was hosting with Lukumi Santeria Babalao, what's called a Misa. And a Misa is basically a spiritual seance. And I was like, okay, this sounds cool. Like, I'm into some like creepy shit. Like, let's see what I can, get out of this. Like, let's go. So I went, and my first Misa was the first time I could really feel spirits. Like, really consciously know what spirit felt like. Also at that time, my great grandmother came through and appeared and identified herself as one of my like major spiritual guides. And he was talking to me about getting initiated. And so for those who don't know, Lukumi is a primarily Hispanic, Latinx, African traditional religion, especially here in the States. A lot of Hispanic and Latinx people tend to practice it. And so I was kind of moving in that direction, but I'm not of Latin or Hispanic descent. My parents are both my parents are from Jamaica, so I'm West Indian. And so I was kind of feeling it, but kind of just like, not really sure about this. Still on the side, like I had started my tarot business, and it was strictly just readings. And I had done that because I wanted a new job, but I didn't want to leave my house. And so I was like,
oof, that's a real mood.
Yeah, I was like, well,
say.
I can kind of make my own schedule with this. And
Yeah.
so that was kind of, doing its own thing on the side. And then I had discovered my now godmother. She used to have a botanica close to my house. And so I went there, visited, and I kind of felt like, I need to know more about this woman. And then shortly after that, so this is still around like 2015, they had the first Black Witch Conference in Baltimore.
Yes.
Yes.
I read about that. Yeah.
Yes. So I attended that. My godmother spoke there, and I was like, okay, like I need a reading with this woman. I got a reading with her, and at that time I had asked if I could become her godchild, because I was like, okay, well, maybe this is the step, because she is an Ianifa. She's an Ifa priestess. She's also a Shango priestess. She's also an Oya priestess. She's just amazing. Like, I can't sing her praises enough. Like, she is the shit. And I joined her Ile, and an Ile is just another word for basically a spiritual home, in 2016. And kind of that started my journey as and Abarisha. And then this past November, I actually just got initiated to be an Oshun priestess. So I'm like starting, and that's why my title now is Iawo, which means like basically wife of the Orisha. And that's a year-long process of just like when you're first initiated, just like learning and kind of getting settled into having now your Orisha crowned into you. So like I said, I'm a child of Oshun. I'm also a child of Obatala, but I got initiated into Oshun. And yeah, so and then the spiritual baths came about. Like I learned how to make spiritual baths from my godmother, and I was making them for friends, and my guides basically were like, you need to sell this. And I was like, guys, I don't really want to do that. And they're like, no, you should really sell it. And so I started selling it and got a lot of good feedback. The prosperity bath, which is like my most popular bath, I actually made for myself to get a new job, and all it did was just increase my business, which I'm not complaining about. Right. But I really wanted a new 9-to-5, and everyone else gets a new 9-to-5 except for me, which I mean, it's fine. I'm glad that I'm blessing people in that way, but I was just like, wow, if this isn't the biggest troll of my life.
Right. I just got more of this job. That's
right.
not what I was looking for.
Yeah.
And I was like, you guys know this is not what I made the bath for. But
like, I know that you know what I wanted.
Right. Yeah, your ancestors were like, no.
They're like, no, you're just going to do this. And I was like, fine.
This
whatever.
is your path. Yeah.
So I guess that's like kind of how I kind of got to where I am without like being too long and drawn out.
I love it.
That's so cool. That's really awesome. Do you know if they plan to do another Black Witch conference anytime soon?
Oh, yes. So it's every year. It's every
year.
Yeah.
That's
so it's
awesome.
every October. I know we have the dates for.
Are they always in Baltimore?
Yes.
Nice.
I know
it's great for you.
Yeah, it's so convenient. I know we have the dates for 2020, but I don't know them off the top of my head. I can always shoot you guys the dates after this.
Yeah, we can post for our listeners. I think that's just such a valuable resource, and what a great place for community. And that's where you found your godmother. I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. There's so much that you said in there that I feel like we need to define for our listeners.
Yes.
Which is a great segue into.
I guess so. I guess the very first thing that we can talk about is just finding a godmother or godfather. Mm-hmm. When we're talking about like the Ifa and this sort of structure of religion or spiritual structure, I guess. It's not like I had a godfather who was my dad's professor in college, who was like, it was like it's not the same thing. It's not, or I mean, maybe it's what it was supposed to be, which is, I guess, that maybe he was supposed to guide me through Christianity. That is not what happened.
Yeah, I think the modern American westernization Christian
of
version
what a
of what
godparent is not what we're talking about here. This is about being brought into the actual practice and like becoming a person who, right? Is that correct?
So
loosely speaking?
So your godparent in diasporic religions or practices, so specifically talking about Ifa Isese, your godparent is basically your guide. They teach you, protocol, they teach you traditions, and the thing is, like, everybody's lineage is different, right? So kind of in the same way, like, a lot of people, like, we're all, like, people can be like, well, yeah, I'm Christian, but their churches are going to practice Christianity in different ways. So it's the same thing in Ifa and Isese. Like, everything is based on your lineage. So each Ile is going to do something different. So I, my practice different from another person, but that doesn't mean that it's necessarily wrong. It's just that this is what, certain people's lineages are taught to do. So your godparent essentially is to teach you the ways of the religion, how to be a spiritual practitioner or Abarisha. And additionally, because your godparent, only initiated people can become godparents, right? And your godparent also is able to perform spiritual work for you. So I get readings from my godmother from time to time, and sometimes in those readings it comes up that, maybe I need what's called an Igbo, and Igbo is sacrifice, because there is animal sacrifice in this religion. Sorry for people who are vegans or are getting easy about that, but I mean, in the same way that it's so people get upset about that. I think some people get upset about animal sacrifices, but there's a purpose behind everything. There's a purpose behind why certain animals are being used. Like sometimes they're to take the negative energy from you, and a lot of our deities require blood sacrifices from certain animals. That's just the way it is. And I would say don't get into a religion that requires an animal that does animal sacrifices if it makes you queasy. But your godparent is the person that can perform those Igbos for you. You're also under their spiritual protection. You're also under their, like, they give you guidance and advice. So it's essentially like another parent. In that sense.
All right, so we were talking about how animal sacrifice is not for vegans.
Yes. Yeah, so, sometimes there's a sacrifice that needs to be made. And, I give thanks to that chicken to take away and block any kind of nonsense coming my way.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's a pretty noble use of a chicken aside from,
Right.
Yeah, other than snacks.
Yeah. If you're like, why
Obviously,
not?
we are not.
We are not vegans. We're very much meat eaters.
But we respect the life.
Yeah, well,
whatever works for you.
Look, there's no ethical way to do anything anymore.
Cool.
That's a whole other conversation.
It is, but I think like out of the grand scheme of things, like animal sacrifice is pretty low on the totem pole for me.
Yeah, and I think also, that's what. Look, it can be controversial, but just being a witch is controversial. Right. So, we're here to learn. We're here to explore new cultures and practices. And I don't know. Emily and I think approach really everything as much as we can with an open mind, and I think our listeners do too. So I think they're fine.
Okay.
They want to email us angrily later. We welcome it. It's witchcastpodcast@gmail.com. Please do.
Bring it.
Our inbox is very light.
We would be delighted to hear from anybody about anything.
It'll make us cry, but we're totally okay with it.
We'll weep a little bit, but then we'll be happy, kind of, in our own way.
Because you're paying attention.
All we want is the attention.
That's all we want. Yes. But anyway, I was saying we should back up a bit because we feel like we should define what Ifa is for our listeners, because 4 hours ago I had no idea.
Yeah. So as we discussed when we were just getting started with this episode back in the day, earlier in this episode,
right.
We're novice witches, and a lot of the people that listen to this podcast, I think, are also relatively new to witchcraft. Not everybody, but a lot of of our listeners are still sort of learning about our great spiritual world. We're all just doing our best.
We're killing
out
it.
here.
We're doing so good right now. Okay.
So let's talk about what Ifa is. For those of our listeners who have not heard of Ifa before, here is my understanding of what it is. And again, feel free to correct me at any time because I'm using the glorious internet, which is not nearly as good as firsthand experience.
Right. And there are not that many resources that talk about so much the history of it. More so just really what the practice is.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I feel like, right?
Yes. So, basically, to my understanding, Ifa is part of the Yoruba sort of family of religions, and Ifa in particular is more of a system of divination almost, or it's a system, like a spiritual system, more than it is its own religion separate from Yoruba. It's part of that kind of family that's a monotheistic family that believes in one ungendered god that doesn't necessarily get involved in human activity.
Right. So one good thing that you did mention is that it's monotheistic, because a lot of people that do know, so Ifa is a system of divination, so that's correct. And the reason that you'll hear people refer to Isese as Ifa is just because of, you know, it just how things came over from West Africa to here.
Right.
And so Ifa is a West African, specifically Yoruba, which is Nigerian, system of belief. It's a very old religion. Some will say that it predates Christianity. And it's one of the religions that came over through the transatlantic slave trade. So you do see kind of break-offs of the religion in the States, in the Caribbean, and South America. So if you've heard of voodoo, like I said, mentioned earlier, so Lukumi, Santeria, especially in Cuba. And so you'll see a lot of that in Miami, where there's a lot of folks of Cuban descent. In South America, you know, Palo and Candomblé, those all stem from Isese, and then voodoo also, because they do practice voodoo, a type of voodoo in Benin, and so that also influences that too. And then in the Caribbean, there are like Trinidad and Tobago, they do practice Isese over there as well. In the Caribbean, it's more so what's called Obia. In Jamaica, it's called Obia. That's separate from what I practice. So you could say that Isese is like the source, and then through the slave trade, through just like the intermingling of like different tribes of West Africa coming over through the transatlantic slave trade, you have all these other traditional religions that kind of sprouted from that. So it is monotheistic, and the reason you're not going to find a lot of concrete information on it online is that it's a very oral tradition. So it's not necessarily written down like something like the Bible, right? It's a lot of like things are passed down from elders to students, and that's just how the things are passed down. And so we do believe in one supreme creator, and we give that creator, that's Olodumare. And then believe that Olodumare sent what we know as the Orisha here to Earth to kind of help us get ourselves together, right? There are 401 plus Orisha, and the plus is because they are always discovering new Orisha all the time. And then the Orisha, I don't want to simplify it, but if you're coming from an Abrahamic kind of belief system, you can almost kind of relate them to saints in a way, but they're not, but they're not saints.
Right, yeah.
But if you want to kind of help you visualize and have a conceptualization, you could kind of compare them to saints. Or even in like the sense of like Jesus, but then it's like it's multiple Jesus and they're not really messiahs. But kind of like if you look at them as saints, I think that helps people kind of understand, like, but instead of like saints kind of being, recognized after their death, like God purposely sent these folks here to help us with everyday things. And so like for me, my head Orisha is Oshun, and she is the deity of like love, attraction, sweetness. She's really good with money, also fertility. She's a river deity. And so you can find her at the river. And then also my other deity who's like, so you have a mother and your father. So Oshun is my mother. Obatala is my father. And he is like one of the oldest Orisha. We consider him the king of the white cloth. He's a very old man. And he is what molds humans in their mother's room. Like he helps develop them. He is like the creator, the molder of the human head. Wow. But there are other, there are other ones. So like there's Shango, and he's a king, and he's very fiery. And then there's Oya, and she is said to be Shango's favorite wife. And so she always precedes him in battle. And you can find her at the marketplace or the graveyard. She's said to be like the last breath that you take. Like she ushers you into the realm of the ancestors.
That's beautiful. So
Yeah. So there are a lot, but those are kind of like the main ones.
Yeah.
And you said there's over 400 of them. They're kind of, it sounds like they're kind of like middle management to the CEO. They're like,
Yeah, kind of, yeah.
they're like gatekeepers. They're like not lesser gods in the sense of being not good gods, not like awesome, but they're powerful spiritual beings, but not as
That are, like,
powerful as the
intermediaries.
like main god.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
I got you.
Right.
Yeah, our first episode for this season was actually about Haitian voodoo, so I feel like there was a lot of this in my research that felt very familiar.
Well, yeah, in that it's also like a in voodoo you speak to spirits who then speak to God, who does not talk to you directly.
And you have like altars and sacrifices and rituals. Yeah, there was a lot of like similarities that I was like, oh, this isn't
it's also,
completely
like,
foreign. Yeah.
African diasporic religions
Right.
came over and then kind of got, or because of the sort of intermixing of cultures, there's some things kind of got pushed together sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's why a lot of times that with especially voodoo, like you'll see them use like the saints in place of the Loa and stuff like that, because of that, trying to, blend in the Catholicism or in the Christianity to hide from, the slave masters, to make the, because they were forced to practice Christianity,
Right.
and this was their way of still, keeping their religion, but also blending in. So yeah, it's kind of, it's similar, but it's different, I would say like, it's like within the umbrella.
Right.
Yeah. Same, but
not the
different.
same, but like there's a family kind of thing. Yeah.
Right, absolutely.
So, where were we? Oh, so, okay, I have a question for you, which is, Ifa and Isese? Am I saying that right? Mm-hmm. What is the difference between those
I
two
had the
things?
same question.
I'm so sorry for, I know this is pretty basic, but what is the difference
Yes.
between those two things?
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I mentioned earlier, so Ifa is the divination
Right.
system, right? And in our belief system, there are people who we say you can be initiated to Ifa. I'm not initiated to Ifa. Ifa is what... Yeah, so when you get initiated to Ifa, then you're initiated to Orunmila, and that is that's the Orisha of like wisdom.
Okay.
And Olodumare gave him like all-seeing wisdom, and through that he created Ifa, which is the divination system, and that's how you get what we call the Odu.
Right.
And the Odu is that those are like those passages or like those stories that you'll get, and when they do they'll do a divination, and then you'll get an Odu, and then through that, that's how you'll get like taboos, and that's how you'll get like your advice to move through life. And like through the Odus, you'll also hear about stories of the Orisha as well.
Right.
And kind of like, well, this is, so for some people, like for a Batala priestess and priests, they're 95% of the time, and especially in like my Ile in my house, an Obatala priest cannot drink alcohol, because it is said that when Olodumare sent Obatala here to, create mankind, he started, and then he got drunk off palm wine, and then when he woke up, that's how you get people with genetic deformities, so like albinos, people with disabilities, and those folks are very special to him. Which is actually really funny for me, because my work, I have a master's in disability studies.
Oh, cool.
And so when I found that out, like Obatala is my father, I was like, oh, and I do all this work with like, and I've been doing work with people with special needs and in the human services for over 10 years, and it was just kind of like seeing that part of my life come full circle. And so Oromila created like the divination Ifa system, but a lot of times they're used interchangeably, but Ifa is just like the divination.
It's just the divination system. And then Isese is sort of the overarching.
It's just the religion.
Yeah.
Cool. How did you get assigned your mother and father orishas?
That is done through, and that can only be done through divination.
And so by your godmother. Who do you use the word Baba for godmothers? Because I know that's also used for godfather.
No, so I call my godmother Iya, which means mother.
Okay. And Baba means teacher?
Baba means father.
Or father. Oh, okay. Gotcha. Sorry.
That's so good.
I was like, on my way here, I was like, oh, this is going to be another episode where I mispronounce everything. I can't even pronounce English words right, and that's my only language.
We're all doing our best.
Yeah.
Okay, and then so
Gold stars.
My understanding of the divination process with Ifa, and maybe you can help me out with this, is that basically what they do, or what's done when you have like a divination done, is it's basically so basically Ifa is like it's the divination system within Isese, and it's almost like a math based on patterns of light and shadow, but there's like 256 different patterns that are mostly taught by oral tradition.
Yes.
But they've started in the last few decades writing them down a little bit, but it's still mostly oral tradition.
Yeah, so you're not really gonna find the Odu online,
Right.
Because like you said, it's an oral based tradition, and so it's based on how. So so you can use cowrie shells, and then you can use what's called, I think it's called an apuele, which is kind of like this chained thing, and it has like, I want to say it. I can't explain what it is. I've seen it, and I'm seeing it in my head, and it's like this chain, and the priest throws it, and based on how the patterns fall, they know like which Odu it is, and then there's like a Ifa like plate, and they have this like, I don't know, because again, I haven't gotten to this level.
Right, yeah, it's complicated.
It's very complicated, but there is like literally there's a process. So the form of divination that I know how to do is called throwing obi, and obi is using you can use 4 coconut shells, or you can use 4 cowrie shells, and based on how they fall, it's basically for yes, no, right? So I'm not doing like serious like trying to get Odu with the obi. No, right. I'm just doing like basic yes or no, and I use the obi. Again, this was taught to me by my godmother. I use and there's there's certain prayers that she used to kind of call in the deities, but I use it to talk to my ancestors, and then I use it to talk to the shrines that I have in my house. And, basically I use it to check in, like, are you guys good? Do you need anything? That kind of stuff. And then after you become initiated, you learn how to do more complex forms of divination. So what my godmother has always told me, she's like, yeah, you do tarot for now, but eventually, like, once I learn how to divine as a Oshun priestess, and one of the things with Oshun is, like, Oshun children are known to be really good with divination because that's her thing. Her thing is divination, is that I'm going to have to stop reading tarot. So, and I'm always like, what? I have like 50 tarot decks. Why would I?
What am I supposed to do with all of this knowledge and all of these tarot decks?
I was like, are you sure? She's like, I would judge the hell out of you. You're a whole initiated priestess, and you're still reading with tarot cards. And the reason, and I get her logic. Her logic is that, and through my experience and what I've seen, I will say that there's nothing more accurate than an Ifa reading. There's just not. You're not going to get the same level of accuracy that you're going to get with a tarot reading, because tarot is still subjective. It's still based on that reader's intuition and, you know, what their belief system is. Whereas like with Ifa, based on how the shells or the opele fall, like this is what it is. Yeah. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. So like I get it, but you know, I'm human. I'm still very much attached to my cards. I just ordered a new set not too long ago. So I mean, I'm not there yet, but I tell and my friend laughs. She's like, "You're gonna have to change the name of your business because my business name is Bruja Tarot, and one day I'm not gonna be reading the tarot anymore."
Right. Yeah.
Well, you can start like a sister business that'll be Bruja.
I know.
Oh,
Bruja something, or I'm just gonna have to change the whole name. I'll cross that bridge when I get there, but it still makes me sad to think about it because I'm just like, but I love tarot and I love oracle so much.
Yeah. I mean, you could argue that they're kind of for different things. Like the tarot is sort of a self-reflective tool, whereas, you know, the divination is really more of like a science.
Yeah, it is. It definitely is a science. And I'm one of those tarot readers, like I'm super annoying. I do not read for myself. Like I hate reading for myself. Yeah. I don't know if you guys read tarot or oracle, but I'll pull my cards and I'm like, oh, like, what do you guys want to tell me today? And then it'll come up and I'm like, you know what, JK, I don't want to know what this is.
Yep.
Somewhat. I'm just walking away now.
Yeah, I definitely, I feel like I have a few decks myself, and one of them is this Universal Goddess deck, and it feels like just a bunch of really, really caring mothers scolding me.
Yes.
And then sometimes I just don't want to hear it, moms.
Like, yeah, if I'm not doing readings for myself, it's because I don't want to hear it. It's like, I know.
But like someone
like
else,
petulant child.
Yes. Yeah.
So my understanding of the way that, like, when you read the Odu,
Odu, that's what it's called.
What you're learning is like, it's almost like where you are in terms of your alignment with where your life is supposed to be and what you committed to and what your destiny is supposed to be in terms of like a great karmic kind of thing. Yes?
Yes.
No pressure. Yes. That sounds heavy.
I know.
Yeah. So like after, like, without giving like too much away. So basically you become like, you do this initiation, and one thing I want to point out is like not everybody that practices the religion is destined to become a priest or a priestess. That's not everyone's destiny. So some folks are just destined. It's almost like being in the church, right? Like not everybody is called to the ministry.
Yeah, not everyone's going to be like a pastor or a priest or whatever.
Right. Some people are just meant to be worshipers and practitioners, and that's cool. And then, you know, but you can still get what's called a life reading, right? Mm-hmm. So basically what your destiny is, what your taboos are. And that's why, like, I like to tell folks who are interested in these African traditional religions or diasporic, you know, traditional religions, is that it requires a lot of sacrifice. Mm-hmm. A lot of sacrifice. And you start to notice, like, especially as I was getting closer to my initiation, like a year leading up to my initiation, I was losing, you know, more friends. And I'm not talking like just casual acquaintances. I'm talking about folks like I was friends with for 15 years. Like people just kind of getting stripped away because they don't have that, you know, they don't have a purpose in your life anymore. And you have to give up certain things. Like I know, again, your lifelong taboo might be not drinking alcohol, right? And especially when you're in a culture where alcohol plays such a big part, right? Happy hour, bottomless brunch, drinking Prosecco with your friends, buying a bottle of wine after work. You know, that's hard for a lot of people.
Yeah.
And you know, it's not a punishment.
Right.
You can't look at it as a punishment, but you have to look at it as, this is, if I do this thing, I'm moving away from like the blessings that are in front of me. I mean, even for me, I used to partake in a lot of Mary Jane every now and then.
Love her.
And it's it's not a taboo for me, but I noticed that as I was becoming more sensitive in terms of like my gifts kind of picking up, I couldn't do edibles anymore.
Yeah.
Like I just felt like I was in a fog, and I just gave it up. I was just like, like I'm just not going to do it anymore. And people kind of look at you like, oh, so no, because I don't want to feel crazy. Like I want to be able to feel my gifts fully. Right. That's one thing that like if you any kind of witch practitioner, people, I think, and especially women, we're very naturally intuitive. And so one of the things, like as an intuitive being, you have to figure out what dulls your gifts. And if you're using a substance to dull your gifts, and if you are, you have to figure out why. Because you can't say that you want to like feel this gift more, but then do the thing that's like dulling the gift. Because like once you open that door, you can't close it. And so you're either going to lean into it or try to like numb it and pretend that it's not there. And so that's how I look at taboos. Like they are things that you cannot do, and it's because it's either going to block your gift or it's going to block your blessing. And so you have to be honest with yourself if you're willing to make that sacrifice.
Yeah.
So I know I said a lot.
No,
but
I think it's
felt
great.
compelled to.
Well, you're dedicating.
Yeah.
No, I think it's that's such a great point. And you're dedicating yourself to a higher calling, and and I think it's a great point that it does require a lot of sacrifice. This is not for casual dabbler. If you want to become a practitioner or a follower of Ifa or a Shishi, like it's not something you can just pick up and put down here and there. I mean,
this is a lifestyle.
Yes.
It's a lifestyle.
Yes. So the Odu, there's 256 of them.
Yeah, well, that's just for Ifa, the divination system, uses Odu. I hope that I'm like telling Kate like I know what I'm talking about.
You're like, yes, girl, like this is what it does.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the Odu is just, there's like 256 different, the way that it was described on a podcast I was listening to was like basically patterns of light and shadow that like fall. Right. Like when a person like sits in front of you or something like that. Like you see these different patterns, and then these 256 different Odu that then give you like a passage, which is or like a bit of information, basically.
Like a teaching almost.
Kind of. Is that right? Sort of loosely?
Kind of, yeah, kind of, sort of. So you're going to get the way it falls, and then I'm just seeing my Oluwo, who's my godmother's godfather. Like, I'm seeing him kind of like do all this stuff, and I'm like, what the fuck is he doing? Like, in my head, I'm like, this is crazy. And he's just like, and I'm like, what does this mean, man? Like, does this mean my life is trash? What does this mean? And he's just writing in this notebook, and just to give it some context, like, he's someone that's been practicing over 30 years, right? He is considered, we call him Kabiesi because he's considered, Kabiesi means king. And he's considered, like, he was a former king over in Nigeria in the village where he came from practicing this. Like, he's, OG. Yes. And just like to see his reverence and how seriously he takes it, and like it's almost like he does it like it's like you or I just reading a passage from a book. And so if I sound kind of just like, girl, I know but I don't know, it's because I know but I don't know. So like they the patterns that fall, they correspond to certain passages, and then like through those passages, they have to determine whether, like, it's going to bring you Ire, which is blessings, or Eb, which is, like, sickness or curses. So if something comes back in Eb, you might have to do what's, like I had mentioned earlier, an Ebo to kind of correct that, course correct, because you always want your stuff to come back in blessings. You don't ever want to come across anything in EB because you don't want to come up against, like, you know, you might have your challenges, but you don't want anything that's going to like completely fuck up your life. So we're going to try to do some EBOs to course correct and make sure your stuff comes back in E-Ray. So they checked, you know, you have the Odu, but then you're going to make sure that the Odu comes back in E-Ray, so blessings, and there's a whole process with that. But it's a lot of just like using the tools and having to know what the Odu are and knowing if it's coming back in E-Ray, and then also through each Odu, different Orishas speak through each Odu. So like Shango might be speaking through one Odu, or Obatala or Ashun or Eshu. So it's like also knowing which Orisha are speaking through the corresponding Odu. So it's like really, it's a very complex kind of system we got going on. But like when you are working with somebody that knows what they're doing, it sounds less complicated than it is. So it sounds like a lot, but it's really not a lot, but it is a lot, if that makes any sense.
Right.
Yeah. Like once you know everything and you have like a sense for how to interpret it, I guess probably it's not so complicated, but the initial like trying to understand it is a bit of a hump to get over.
Yes.
Yeah.
A bit of a mountain.
I listened to a bunch of and read a few interviews with people who practice Ifa and Isese, and they all said that the readings that they get from like that kind of assessment are like the most read they've ever felt in their life. It's just like that it's so accurate and so like close to home.
Yes. I've always said, like, when my godmother first read me, she was just like, "You're really stubborn. You're this, you're that." And I was like, "Wow, lady, are you in my house?"
It is.
You should mind your business.
To that
I didn't come here for this.
Yeah.
I did.
But I did, but I didn't.
But I didn't.
To that end, just I didn't plan this question, but like if someone wanted to get a reading but is not a practitioner or follower of Ifa, is that allowed or no?
It is. So I will say,
Kate.
okay, so I will say this. Yes, it is. But you have to, I would say, if you know somebody that's in the religion, it might make it easier in terms of who they can refer you to, because in the age of social media, you have a lot of like creepy scammer Baba Laos that pop up, and they're like, "Hey girl, you know, I got some messages from you from your ancestors." And it's like, "No sir, I do not know you."
No sir.
Block.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is, like, I would never recommend a white person to get a reading from my godmother, because she's not going to do it. Like, she's just, you know, she's just not going to do it. And that has nothing to do with, you know, her being racist or whatever. It's just that she feels like this is an African traditional religion, and so that it should be saved for people of African descent. Right? But there are other priests and priestesses who are more open about that and who will do it for folks who are not of African descent or who are not Black. But you just, you know, like I said, if you know someone, it might make it easier. But you don't, like, I didn't get a reading as I wasn't a practitioner of the religion when I got a reading. I was just somebody who was just interested in getting a reading, and I've referred tons of my friends to get readings from my godmothers who are not practitioners. They're just, you know, they just want a reading. So you don't have to necessarily be a practitioner, but if you are someone of African descent or African American, it does make things easier for you.
Cool. Gotcha.
Yeah.
That's good.
Which
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not everything is for everyone.
Correct.
That's okay. That's good. It's a good thing.
I was just in Japan recently, and there are bars there that have signs that are like, "Please no foreigners," or like, "Please no one who doesn't speak Japanese." Like,
Really?
Yeah,
you don't
yeah.
speak the
That is
language.
so Japanese to say that.
I know, and I was like in America, you could never.
You can't do that. Not
No,
outright.
and
But
I
they
have a-
absolutely can, and they're right.
No, and I have a friend. She's black. She lives in Japan, and she's like, every time she tries to get a new apartment, she's like, there's some places that are just like, we don't take foreigners.
Yeah.
Like we're no, and that's just.
Yeah, I mean, they're also like, I don't know. It's a whole thing. It's a whole
cultural
thing that
thing,
maybe
yeah.
we won't get into right
That's
now.
a different episode.
Yeah, that's a different
Yeah.
Or maybe a different podcast.
But I was just like, I guess I respect it. Like, I hear it. I'm not going to try and go into
I
that
think it's
part.
a big tenet of like our new millennial woke culture to be able to set the ego aside and realize not everything is for you.
Mm-hmm.
That's something I've
Yes.
been trying to really embrace personally. Of like, oh, this is not for me. I can still enjoy it as a supporter in other ways, but it's not for me, and that's awesome.
Right. And, people got offended initially when the Black Witch Convention came out because actually the founder is my god sister now, Ia Omitola. And she's very clear, like, this is for Black women. Like, this is a safe space for Black women. And people are like, well, why can't I be included? Not everything has to be for you. And that is okay.
Right.
Right. Also,
Yeah.
you have Urban Outfitters, Becky. You're fine.
Hey,
Right. Like, it's
Not you.
okay. I'm sitting right here.
You're not a Becky.
It's such a fine line.
You're Emily. No, it's different. It's different. No, I mean, I think it's great. Well, and we've talked about this on our Haitian Voodoo episode too, and I think in a lot of different, and even this kind of also in a way reminded me of the Hermetic Kabbalah episode too, of like, this, our podcast is about people who want to kind of dip their toe in and learn more, but a lot of these different practices require years of extensive training and
It's
research.
really not a dip
Yes.
your toe
It's
thing.
not.
It's a religion, and it's a life.
It's a system of beliefs. It dates back thousands of years. I think I read somewhere that Ifa dates back like 8,000 years or something.
Yeah.
Crazy like that. Like,
Yeah.
you
Thousands
have
of
to
years.
pay respect to what came before, where the origins. Like, these are ancient practices that we're talking about. And this is just us kind of trying to open the door of just education of like, this is what it is, and demystify and destigmatize it. But like,
But you
you got to do the work if you want to do it. Yeah.
Right. And you have to pay, like I said, it's a lot. It does require a lot of sacrifice. And I think, especially like when Beyonce's Lemonade came out, there was a lot of like, oh my God, she's channeling Oshun, and like this whole fertility vibe. There was a lot of yellow because yellow is the color of Oshun. And I always laugh because I'm like, real like children of Oshun know that Oshun, while she is like the mother of sweetness and fertility and all that stuff, she's very demanding of her children. Very demanding. And she's the type of person that or the type of deity that, like, if she, if you don't do what she says, she's gonna get fucking annoyed with you. So as much sweetness and prosperity she can bring to your life, she can easily take it away. Like, and she's not she's not someone that you want to piss off. And so I think there's a lot of misconception because there is this glamour. There's this glamorizing, especially within the past year, of what people think ATR religions are. And while I'm glad that there's more of an interest in it, I do want people to know that, like I said earlier, it is a lifestyle. It does require a lot of sacrifice. And now, and be real with yourself. Like, if you're not willing to make that sacrifice, if you're not willing to take that journey, and if you're not, that's cool. And something simple that I think everyone can do is just paying homage to your ancestors. That is perfectly fine. That's perfectly normal. And just like recognizing that your ancestors are like your first line of defense, and they're awesome. You don't have to get like super in depth with anything if you don't feel like it's for you. if it's too serious for you at this time, I think something that anyone and everyone could benefit from is just ancestral veneration, and just practicing talking to your ancestors, asking them to show up and be more present in your life, because the way I was taught is that your ancestors are your first line of defense. And before I became an aberration, now initiate, was that I always worked with my ancestors first and foremost. Some people know who they are, like which ancestors are present. If you don't know, you can just say my benevolent ancestors. That's perfectly fine, because we all know, like, there's some people that in our families that were not shit when they were alive.
You don't want to go for all the ancestors.
Yeah. Right. And they're probably not going to be shit while they were dead. So, you just want to make sure you're calling in on your benevolent ancestors, and that's something that anyone can benefit from, like that across religions, even if you're just, because I think people forget, like, you could also be Christian and be a witch. You can be a Jewish witch. You can be a Muslim witch.
Yeah,
so,
these are not mutually exclusive things.
Everyone be
witches. Yeah, so like we can be all of the things and still be witches. And not everyone that practices an African traditional religion is a witch.
Right,
like we still have to recognize them, that these are just religious practices, and that there are also people who practice them like with any religion that consider themselves a witch. I'm totally a witch, definitely a witch. Like, let's be clear, witch. And I'm not a lot of people are also afraid of that word. I'm not. I like making people uncomfortable anyway, so it's totally fine.
Gemini moon.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's great. That's something actually I've been trying to think about lately, just recently within the last month or so, is start to think about more of my ancestors and trying to envision them kind of surrounding me or protecting or healing, or when I had like a friend who had a big test coming up or who was in recently a car accident, like trying to call upon them to help their ancestors, even to like help them. It's a very lovely thought either way. Like, it's just this, I picture, it's kind of like Mulan. I picture it like Mulan, like all these like really nice ghosts just all hanging out with different personalities.
Or even like in Coco. Like, have you ever seen Coco?
Oh my god, I love Coco.
That movie was very good.
You know what's funny about Coco? I watched it earlier this year, and I was like, I don't know why everyone was crying about it. And then I got to the part, and I was like, oh my god, I have to go talk to my ancestors right now.
Every time I watch that movie, like, probably at least 3 times a year, and every time I watch it, like, I cry.
Yeah, you know what? Yeah, we went and saw it in theaters, and Dan's been watching it on a regular basis ever since.
It's just a really solid film.
It really is.
The rewatchability is very high with that.
Yeah.
Well, I had modern use of Ifa, and honestly, there wasn't much either, but I did come across a couple things that I found interesting. And speaking back to our subject of, like, it's not for everyone, I actually found an article of, like, a white former Jew, Baba, oh God, damn it. I know it when I see it, and then as soon as I put my notes down, I forget how to say it. Hold on. Babalau, yes.
Yes.
In California, which I thought was really interesting.
That seems problematic.
Yeah, but I mean, he has a whole website. I don't remember his name, and it's not important.
Anyone can have a website.
Yeah, but anyway, there's an NPR article from a few years back, from 5 years ago, from 2013. But that was really interesting, and they also pronounced Yoruba Yoruba, which I thought was also interesting. But they were interviewing a couple, Wesley Hurt and Cherie Prophet, who were a married couple living outside of Seattle, and how it was just basically examining how Black Americans are using Yoruba faiths to kind of, reconnect with their ancestry. They both were raised Christian, again, didn't really feel it connected with them, and wanted to find a new form and practice of spirituality, and how these kind of new pockets of practices, of Yoruba practices, have been popping up all over the country, and I'm sure also like in Canada and in the Western world at large, especially for our generation and younger generations to kind of reconnect and feel a connection to their ancestry and their origins and their roots, and because it speaks to them more so than westernized Christianity or other religions. He was originally from Atlanta. He's 32. In the article, he had tried Judaism and Islam, and it was really Ifa was what really spoke to him, which I thought was really interesting. And Emily and I were talking earlier about how, what we found in our research too is that actually a lot of people in Nigeria and in West Africa, the practice of Yoruba is actually declining. There people, from what our research has shown, is it's a lot of people in actual West Africa are distancing themselves more from that practice, whereas in the Western world, I think a lot of people are really reclaiming it.
Yeah, it's interesting because I don't know if either of you have ever watched a Nollywood movie. If you haven't, they're very entertaining. A lot of them are on Netflix, but a lot of them will use the Baba Lao as the witch doctor. That's the witch doctor you go to, and a lot of ATRs are demonized anyway. So if you ever seen movies that have maybe a voodoo lady in it, it's always she has a voodoo puppet and she's gonna do something kind of evil to another person. And there's good and bad with anything, right? So there are people who use Christianity for negative stuff, and you can look at the current state of our country as a platform for what happens when Christianity goes too far.
Yeah, or most of the history of Christianity.
Right. And you can look at, and so you can say that for any religion, people can use power and their gifts for something negative. Right. And I think because of colonialism, because we have to remember that there was a European and American presence, and it's still present in West Africa because you still have people going on missions over there. There is a big push for Christianity. So if there's still this big push for Christianity, and in a lot of places, in a lot of African countries, and even in the Caribbean, where Christianity is really big, it's just this white is right. So it's Christianity is what we know, and so that's the right thing. And so these indigenous religions, they're looked at as being backwards, they're looked at as being evil. And again, if I had mentioned earlier, there's animal sacrifice associated with some of them, and so that's looked as being barbaric. And so that's why you'll have a lot of regression and pullback in a lot of the countries where these practices were founded, because of colonialism, because of racism, because they were told that this was wrong, and so they're still hanging on to that. So it's a lot of unlearning that has to be done, and I think that's what's happening here in the West, that there's a lot of unlearning that is occurring, and just a lot of just people in our age group questioning what we were taught, whereas our parents and grandparents didn't really necessarily question those things. Right. My mother knows that I read tarot and I make spiritual baths, and she kind of was oh, well, that's something that ran in on her side of the family. The women in her family are very gifted. And I was well, why didn't you ever tell me this? She's just I didn't think it was that big of a deal. Now does she know that I'm initiated and that I'm not necessarily Team Jesus anymore? No. But the piece that I've made with that is that I'm 33. That's not her business. I don't necessarily have, I don't have to divulge that information. Right. What's important to me is that my friends, they might not necessarily understand everything that I do, but they are very supportive. My partner, he doesn't necessarily understand, and he still considers himself a Christian, but he's very supportive of what I do, and he knows about my initiation and everything. He's always been very supportive of that. That is what's important for me. And, you know, my parents are my parents. Like, if they want to be best friends with Jesus, that's fine. Like, that's them. Like, I can't expect to change a 60-year-old on that. Like, that's them.
Right.
And that's totally okay.
Yeah.
I do think that there's something really great about our generation, and I think even the younger generations are going to be even more so open-minded and just supportive. I have a friend who's incredibly Christian, and she is really good friends with several witches, and it's totally cool. Like, there's this level of respect and kind of open-mindedness that I feel, and again, it's not everyone in our generation, but I feel a lot of circles that I meet of people who are just kind of like, oh, you do that? That's cool. You know, like,
yeah.
What's that? You know?
Yeah.
Which is a great thing to be, I think, is this, like, kind of respectful tolerance. My parents are very, like, old school kind of, like, they're pretty progressive, but they're still Catholic, and they don't talk about anything. So if it's something they don't particularly like or agree with, it's just, they ignore. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
It's like when my dad found my pregnancy test in my freshman year dorm.
My God.
We'd never talked about it.
No.
We just don't talk about it.
No.
Shove that down, you know?
No, just hearing that, I wish, like, the floor would open up and just, like, eat me. Like, no, thank you. Like, no,
that's a story for another time. It's great. It's a good one. Anyway, so also I wanted to talk about, there's an artist actually that practices Orisha, Fahamu Peku. I'm probably mispronouncing their name. They actually have and I don't know their pronouns. I think it's him, he. But they, I'm just going to say they, has a show at the Weeksville Heritage Center right now in New York, in Crown Heights, in Brooklyn. And it just was neat because it was this big, long article on news.artnet.com. And it was saying how a Peku drawing graces, can be seen in every episode of Blackish, and in Empire. You can see it on Rian Almacar Scott's book, The World Doesn't Require You.
This is drawings by this artist?
Yes, all this artist's artwork, and they happen to be, a practitioner of Ifa and Orishi. So I thought that was just, like, really neat that there's this new kind of like with a lot of different witchcraft practices nowadays, of this modernization of these ancient practices where people are just kind of, like, weaving it into their lives and, being humans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just part of, it's accepted and part of their everyday life.
Well, I think it's something that we've talked about a lot in the past, probably, and that I feel like I now harp on pretty much constantly in my life, but that the idea of, even doing things like even talking about Ifa and Isese in this context is kind of problematic in and of itself, because really to call anything witchcraft is basically, everything that got deemed witchcraft was things that were threatening to a patriarchal, mostly Christian structure that were coming in. It really, these things don't necessarily all have stuff in common, except that they are, in a lot of cases, sort of nature-based, indigenous-ish, religions, which are really cool and have a lot of stuff in common, which is really neat across the world. But also, a lot of things not in common, because they were just the existing power structures in places that were taken over, and then, people, like women and people of color, being disenfranchised, basically, and being forced to do other things than what they wanted to do.
Right. It is really neat, though, to think about. I've been thinking a lot about all the different, practices that we've been learning, and it does feel like almost like a reclamation of our roots collectively as people.
Yeah.
Absolutely. At least for me, when I started practicing Isese, I was like, oh my God, this makes so much sense. And I myself have to be an active participant. It's not just going to church every Sunday and listening to someone talk to me and then, like, going about my business. Like, this is a lifestyle. This is something that I have to actively do. Like, I am going to get off of here and I got to go talk to my shrines before I go to bed. Like, and then still have to get up tomorrow morning and go to my regular 9-to-5 job. Like, I still have to take care of my responsibilities, because when I take care of my Orisha and I take care of my ancestors, they definitely take care of me.
Yeah.
And even in just being like a witch and just seeing things that like don't even like that shouldn't make sense. I think that's the best part of just being a witch is just like people think it's like Sabrina the Teenage Witch or it's like Bewitched and you wiggle your nose and you do this thing and it's like no, it's just seeing like small miracles every day.
Yeah.
And knowing that like you did that.
Yeah.
Like you and the universe, like you did that and you made it happen, and it doesn't have to be a big thing. You don't have to like make a post on social media about it. It's just like your own little private like inside joke or like inside secret, and that's the beauty of it. And that I think that's the beauty of indigenous religions period, is that like there's so much connection with earth. And you know, even with like going back to the animal sacrifice, there's still a respect of the earth when you're doing that. And still respecting that everything has its place in this cycle, this circle of life, so to speak. So it's all really interconnected, and all really beautiful.
Yeah,
to me at least.
I think so. I think it's awesome, and I like, to me it all comes down to this kind of mindfulness, right? This awareness, this dedication to wanting to live your life more.
Yes.
In a way that's more meaningful, that's more respectful, and to honor what's come before, to honor the earth and planet that we live on and our ancestors, and
living in alignment.
Yeah, and it's not, like you said, it's not, I think you hit the nail on the head. It's not just going to church and like practicing Christmas for the sake of like the giving gifts and getting angry that your Christmas tree doesn't look perfect. You know, it's like,
right.
I think the newer generations are looking towards more of a more meaningful existence. And of course, there are, our elders who've always lived this way that we can look to as our mentors and our godparents in whatever practice. But I think it's awesome that you're dedicating your life to this. I think it's really, really cool. And that it come full circle with your studies in disability studies. Yeah.
It's all like come full circle in a lot of ways, and I'm super grateful. And I kind of look at my life in the past, like, you know, we're entering 2020 and just kind of like how a lot of things have just come about. And I'm just like, wow, y'all really be out here for me. That's so dope. Because sometimes I feel like a hot ass mess, but y'all still love me. Thank you.
Oh, and that's important to feel that.
Yeah, it's good to be supported.
Yes.
So is there anything else about Orisha and Ifa that you'd like to let our listeners know about before we wrap out?
Or just your own practice and beliefs and anything you want to talk about in our greater sort of spiritual world?
No, I feel like I covered everything. I think I would just like to say that if there are any people or anyone that might do their own independent research and come across things that are contrary to what I say or have said, just to again recognize that what I know is based on my lineage, and that, like I said, it's a family, right? So people of different lineages are gonna say something different, and it's just about how they were taught, and it doesn't mean what they're saying is wrong or what I'm saying is wrong. It's right based on like what they were taught.
Right.
Yeah.
And actually, Emily and I were listening to this other podcast. I want to give a quick shout out to, I don't know if you've heard of A Little Juju podcast.
Oh my God, I love her.
Yeah. We love her now too. We just discovered her today in our research. And like, so we were listening to this episode where she interviews her Baba, and like it was, and like he said the same thing of like, it's what works for you, what works for your lineage and your practice, and everyone within even Ifa, it has a different, style or beliefs or,
Right.
Yeah, it's not all cookie cutter.
It's not all the same, yeah.
Right, and she's awesome because she's also based here in Baltimore, and I've met her a couple times in person, and she's lovely.
That's awesome.
She's lovely.
There's actually, when it was so neat to see that there's quite a few like Black and brown women, or I should say Black and brown witch oriented podcasts out there, which I think is really exciting and like really necessary, because with this influx, I think, of witch popularity, a lot of practices with origins of people of color were kind of are pushed. It's like what we talked about before. They're either whitewashed or watered down, or
Right.
you know,
or they're demonized.
yeah, or there's incredible stigma against them and miseducation and misunderstanding about them. And I think it's something that I'm really trying to is like, we talked about smudging with sage and Palo Santo, but you should know where that comes from. And that I didn't. I saged for years and I never knew where that came from until very recently, and was even like DMing with one of our listeners on Instagram about it recently. But yeah, anyway, do your research, respect where it comes from is what I would say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So we end every episode with a tarot card draw. Tamara, do you want to do a draw from your card?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me go grab my deck real quick.
Okay.
And I'll be right back.
All right. We'll be right here.
So I'm using the Kaleidodope Tarot deck by Crystal Banner. Her deck is very dope. She's a Black woman, Oracle Tarot creator, witchy lady. She's awesome. I've met her also a couple of times.
Cool.
And it's a very cool modern spin on the Rider-Waite deck. And I'm shuffling. Let's see what card we get. Ooh, card dropped. Let's see.
Nice.
Ooh, it's a good one.
Yay.
It's Strength. It's the Strength card. So just off the top, I would say for the collective, if we're looking at strength, let's think about ways that we want to end the year strong, and in what ways that maybe some of us need to push through, because it's, we're kind of like in the last couple of weeks, and what do we need to do to kind of push through to end the year on a good note? Or what do we want to bring into, what kind of things have we done this year strongly that we want to bring into 2020? That's kind of how I'm looking at it.
I love that.
And it's funny. Oh my God, that's awesome, because the bottom of the deck is the Fool card. And so I think that's actually really perfect, because starting a new year, new journey, and how do you want to like start that new beginning strongly?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think I've been thinking a lot about that personally. So that's great to hear.
Just about. Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it's going to be 2020.
Oh my gosh, I still can't believe it's December.
I know. I feel like
the time, where does it go?
Yeah.
And so if our listeners want to reach you, follow you, send you adoring love notes, how can they do so? Where can they find you?
So on Twitter, I am at Bruja, so BRUJA, Banton, BANTON, on Twitter. And then on Instagram, I'm _ Bruja, BRUJA Tarot.
Yes. Awesome.
Yeah, so go check her out.
Yes. Awesome. Thank you so much for being on our show, our podcast. It's been a joy talking to you.
Thank you so much for having me, guys.
Yeah,
you're awesome.
This was really cool. We'll be following you on.
Yeah, we'll link to everything. So wait, just for me _ Bruja Tarot is Instagram, and then Bruja Banton.
Yes.
No underscores or anything on Twitter.
Yep.
Okay, cool.
And
we'll link to everything.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, you're fine.
And you have the social media handles. You like you said earlier, you sell, or you you have spiritual baths that you can.
Oh
that people
yes!
can purchase,
Oh my
right?
God, I'm so silly. My website, my freaking website is brujatarot.com. I'm currently on a hiatus right now. I'm taking a bit of a rest, but
a good thing to do.
Yeah, but I'll be back. I should be back reading around February or March. Just always, I update on my social media pretty frequently, so that's the best way to kind of find out when the baths will be back. The baths will definitely be back in the spring, but awesome. In terms of like readings and stuff like that, my availability, I definitely update my social media to keep everyone abreast.
Nice. And just
fantastic.
I wanted to ask personally, so when you say spiritual baths, does that mean like if I come to you with what I'm seeking to like improve upon or enhance or work on or whatever, then you would put together like a satchel, or how does that work?
So they're live baths, meaning that they're all made. You just have to add water to them. Currently, I sell prosperity, cleansing, road opener, and protection, and then I sell some of them in bundles. I'm thinking about opening up for custom baths next year. I don't currently do custom baths right now.
Gotcha.
But they all come with instructions. It's really easy. It's essentially like you're not sitting in the bath. Like we're not stewing ourselves. Like you're taking, so if you don't have a bathtub, it's fine because you're just standing in the shower. You're doing what you do and then you're pouring it over yourself. I think the directions are pretty succinct, but I also let, if people have questions, they usually email me or DM me. I'm pretty open and I respond pretty quickly, so that's not a problem either. But yeah, it's
Gotcha.
prosperity, cleansing, protection, opening some roads, all that kind of good stuff.
That sounds
Love
awesome.
it. Yeah.
I need to do
I know.
more spiritual cleansing.
We're going to be clicking around your website creepily.
Yeah.
Yeah, do it.
Well, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks
you.
again.
Oh, thanks so much, Tamara.
Again. Take
All right.
care. Talk
Bye.
to you soon. Bye.
And so that'll do it for this week of the
That's
Witchcast
it for
podcast.
Witchcast. Don't forget to follow us on social media at Witchcast Podcast on Instagram. And you can email us anytime you want at witchcastpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, and don't forget to please, I did a little Instagram story earlier this week. I don't know if you saw, but
because we got a review.
we got a new
Thank
review.
you, Tuna.
Thanks, Tuna. It like honestly makes our day so much. I like screenshot it and sent it to Emily with like but anyway, okay. Please rate, review, and subscribe to our podcast on Apple Podcasts.
Yes, please. We love it when you do that.
It helps with our visibility. It just helps
Yeah.
more people, us reach a broader audience. And don't you want everyone to learn more about being a witch?
Yeah, and it helps with the size of our cold black heart, which we're trying to make grow 3 sizes by Christmas.
Hashtag goals. No, I loved it so much. I was just trying to think of how to add on to it. I failed. And until next time,
Hex yeah!
'Cause it's Witchcast.
Oh,
'Cause it's
please,
filled with
I
ghosts.
abandon umbrellas constantly.
Well, but maybe you don't mean to. They're just filled with ghosts. I don't know. I think about ghosts in strange umbrellas all the time.
That's really funny. I always thought of ghosts. I mean, I always thought of umbrellas as kind of like just like the books of the world. Like
yeah, Dan's got
you
a whole
just
thing
kind of
about the great karmic
give and take.
umbrella
Yeah, you
exchange.
just give and take umbrellas. That's why I
Ever
never
since
buy
read
one
that,
over
though, 'cause
$20.
She wrote like a creepy ghost story about like ghost children coming in an umbrella, and then now I think about it all the time.
Also, speaking of Chinese ghosts, it just makes me think of that Charmed episode from season 2 with a very young John Cho
Oh, he's so
playing a cute
in
ghost
it.
that Piper falls in love with.
Oh, that was a really good episode.
I love that episode so much.